Welcome to the global news from Lascelles Geopolitics. This is London on 4th August. Today we are going to talk about the issues and conflicts between Palestine and Israel. According to all the news resources that we found, we organized the whole issue into three main points. Firstly, Palestinian state recognition and Israeli isolation. The news from BBC on 4th August said around 600 retired Israeli security officials have written to US President Donald Trump to pressure Israel to immediately end the war in Gaza. The news from Deutsche Welle just a few days ago said German Foreign Minister Johann Wadephol tried to put more pressure on the Israeli government after his talks with Israeli President Benjamin Netanyahu and representatives from the United Nations in Jerusalem. He also made an urgent appeal to the Israeli government that they should immediately allow the UN to help the hungry people in Gaza. The news also from Deutsche Welle on 1st August said Wadephol, the German foreign minister, said Israel is at risk of internationally isolating itself. Last but not least, the news from The Economist on 26 July said the continuation of the war in Gaza disgraces Israel. We can find that not only the officials and journalists from Western countries, but also the ex-officials in Israel urged the war to be ended. Furthermore, the news from the Wall Street Journal on 30th July also mentioned the situation of recognition of a Palestinian state by a growing number of Western allies. From the changes of the Western countries' attitude, the legitimacy of the war launched by Israel is shrinking and declining. The key question is, why don't Western allies fully support Israel? Although we will keep going on the issue of starvation in Gaza, national interests and balance of power should be considered as well. As we know, Hamas is supported by Iran. However, Hamas and Iran has been beaten tremendously. If Israel keeps expanding its territory, it may backfire the Western allies. So we have to move on the second point, Gazan starvation and casualty. According to the Guardian newspaper on 1st August, there is a clear mathematics of starvation. The basic need in Gaza monthly is 62 tons of food. However, there is no any aid in March and April this year. In June, there is only 60% of requirement to be sent into Gaza, based on the objective data. The famine is proved. The same from The Guardian on 3rd August. At least 27 people were killed by Israeli forces while trying to get food and 6 others died from starvation or malnutrition in Gaza last Sunday. So, the problem that Gazan people faced is not only the starvation. The gunshot from Israeli forces is also another challenge. This is definitely a supply chain issue, which is caused by the military conflict. Currently, it is not allowed to send aid into Gaza by trucks or vehicles. The countries in neighborhood and Western allies that try to send aid via airplane. However, the quantity is really limited and the cost is really high. So we need to think about that, whether the war is really necessary for Israel. Are Hamas or Iran still pose a threat to Israel? Otherwise, the situation of starvation should be finished quickly. So we are moving on to the last point, war situation. The news from Deutsche Welle on 3rd August said Israel's National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir called on Israel to fully occupy the entire Gaza Strip. We could find that the Israeli officials they still would like to try to control the whole Gaza, which is totally opposite from their Western allies or the neighborhood countries, not to mention the starving people in Gaza Strip. Compared to the war towards Iran, it takes much more time for Israel to control the whole Gaza, and we still could not sure whether it could be successful. According to the point of view from The Economist magazine on 26 July, the military campaign of Israel is pointless. Is it the wise or good method for Israel to reduce the risk by controlling the whole Gaza? If Gazan people don't support Hamas, whether cooperating with Gazan people or respecting them is a better way for Israel? So we could find that the Western allies, they proposed a new solution for Israel to cool down the conflict and to reduce the risk in the following future. However, Israel seems that they don't accept two-state solution currently.